Main TV Unfiltered. I've got some very special guests with me today. I feel like I've got royalty with us. We've got the plug. We've got Terry Davis, who's always with me, and we couldn't get Naomi Campbell, so we've got a brother, Kevin.
Listen, it's a Campbell, so it matters.
The Campbells have made a good stuff.
That's not something Macclesfield are saying at the moment.
Hey, listen, they never paid the man, so he's got to go.
No, I completely agree. Agree.
Kev, I just want to say, right, it's a privilege, my bro.
It's a privilege. Listen, son, it's a privilege to be on your Unfiltered TV channel, mate. I know how hard you guys are going to work on building it, and it's a pleasure to come on. Any chance I get, I'm going to get on here with you.
You know what? I think as soon as the fans realise that it's actually it's going to be good. You right, Ken?
No, all right. It's just I wanted to go. What's happened? You know, the camera I was on, it just showed my background. I was wanting you guys to see me face.
We can see you now. We can see your good-looking self.
Listen, can you hear me, though?
I can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you, Ken.
Yeah, can hear you,
Ken.
How you doing, guys? You all right?
Let's not waste 10 minutes asking if we can hear each other. Let's just get into it.
All right, then.
Right. Little bit about Kevin. Kevin, you got more medals than Prince Philip, mate. What's going on?
Who, me?
Well, it's nice, isn't it? Look, you got to remember. What you got to remember is I grew up an Arsenal fan. I stood on the terraces. I couldn't even get into the ground because I couldn't afford it back in the day. And then to be able to come through the ranks at Arsenal and win trophies at Arsenal is everybody's dream. And I'm living proof that it can happen. Do you know what I mean?
Tell me the trophies that you got, Kev. I know, but let the listeners know.
Well, first one was the FA Youth Cup in '88. Then it was the league title in '91. Obviously, I was there in '89 at Anfield, but I was just part of the squad. Didn't make an appearance. Then I got the. We won the 2 cups in '93, didn't we? It was the FA Cup and the League Cup against Sheffield Wednesday. The FA Cup final, my man, Lilligan scored in the last minute.
And Kevin Morrow broke his arm.
And Stephen Morrow broke his arm in the League Cup, yeah. And then it was the Cup Winners' Cup final where we beat Parma in Denmark.
Alan Smith.
So to be able to do that with Arsenal, I mean, it's unbelievable. What a fantastic club to grow up in. I tell you.
And Parma was a strong side then, wasn't they? They were the proper team of Europe, wasn't they?
Yeah, they were serious. They were a serious team. I mean, when you look at the players they had, Zola, Brolin, Cripper, Aspria, all Sensini, Benarivo, they were fully loaded. But George Graham worked a number on them, man.
Yeah, but what they didn't have was Kevin Campbell, did they?
Listen, they didn't have that homegrown spirit. That's what they didn't have, because there was a lot of homegrown players in that team. And don't forget, we didn't have Ian Wright in the final. We had Ian Selly. Ian Selly started. Did Dave Villiers start, or did Stephen Morrow? I mean, it was. I think they on the team there was about six homegrown players, which is unheard of. Paul Dickoff was on the bench.
Paul Dickoff.
He just got back from loan and he was on the bench.
Kev, but the thing is, you're missing what you're most famous for. It wasn't for the league title you won. It wasn't for the Cup Winners' Cup. It wasn't for the League Cup. It wasn't for the FA Cup. You made Farsi Jeff irrelevant.
No, I didn't. Listen, I've got to be honest with you. I told Franny, if Arsenal going to sign you, you sign, but you got to come back to Everton, because I think he was a bit too young. He was a bit too young, and the pressure for him was too much, I believe. I believe he was a really good player. He could have cut it at Arsenal, but he needed to learn his trade. But, sometimes these guys don't want to hear the voice of reason. So he went to Arsenal and, he had to hit the ground running, and it was difficult for him when you consider who you had at the club at the time.
Well, it was your fault that we bought that fox in the box.
No, it was Arsene Wenger who bought the fox in the box, mate.
Because of you. Because of you. I'm not forgiving you for that.
No, he was the fox in the box with me.
Right. Kenny and Terry remember them days well, because obviously we're around about the same age. And just one question to you, Kev, for the start, from me. Next year is my 50th. We go in Vegas or what?
Hey, let me just tell you this. I'm banned from America at the minute.
Why?
No, I am. Seriously, I'm banned from America at the moment. Part of Trump's regime, obviously because I do humanitarian work, and I've done humanitarian work in Iraq.
Well,
and that has made me banned from America right now. So I've got to try and address it for next summer, because obviously Arsenal going to go back out there and I want to get out there. So, I've got to address that.
I thought it was for my birthday.
You could look at Magaluf instead.
Listen, you might be able to get me on a pod, mate, but you won't get me over there if I don't sort it.
Kenny. Well, actually, before I come to Kenny, Terry, tell Kevin that story about when you was mascot, and basically you and Kevin Campbell have crossed paths, but he doesn't remember you.
Well, we should do. Now, back in '91, Kev, I was a mascot for the home game against Everton when Merson scored the only goal of the game. And if I remember correctly, we went top and stayed top and won the league that year. I mean, obviously, that was all down to myself. Obviously, without me, that wouldn't have happened. But you was on the bench that day. I was a little bit gutted and all, because obviously Tony Adams at the time was in prison. And I had to have Paul Davis as my captain.
Yeah.
I would have loved to have had Adams, obviously, being a fantastic.
Yeah.
But and obviously I had pictures with Anders Limpar with my mascot photo on my Twitter page. But the question to you is, what do you remember of that year, that season, and what was it like winning the league, and how you celebrated it?
Well, we had a good celebration. We were good at that old Arsenal team. That season, it was obviously the team had won it in '89, and that Liverpool team at the time were excellent. So they came back in and won it in 1990. But George Graham, from the moment he came into the club in '86, he said, "What we want to be doing is putting a target on Liverpool's back and going for them. They're the team we actually want to go for." So everything was geared to beating Liverpool. He said, "If you finish above Liverpool, you win the league." And so that's what we were geared to. I was kind of in and out. I was kind of on the bench earlier on in that season in '91. And then I think second half of the season, I kind of got through. And me and Alan Smith played up front together, and we formed quite a good partnership.
Yeah,
and the old mate David Illy actually came into midfield as well. Another unsung hero, which was like glue, who you don't really recognize as much. But they were vital to getting us over the line. And we ended up winning the league. We lost one game, which was away at Chelsea, which I think we got robbed in, if you remember rightly.
Yeah.
But we were well worthy of winning that title. And if you remember, we won it in the midweek. We played Manchester United at home. Liverpool got beat by Forest earlier on in the day. And it was like a carnival atmosphere at Highbury, and Alan Smith got a hat-trick, and we ended up winning the game 3-1. So fantastic. How did we celebrate? I think we partied for about 2 weeks. That was in between games.
Kev, your camera is tilted. It looks like you're part of the Tuesday night club.
No, I've just got it like this. I'm just trying to keep it straight. That's all.
That's it. Now we got you. Seriously, I thought you had a few Hennessy's.
No, not at all. Don't worry about all that. I just came back from watching a bit. You got a question for me? Yeah.
No, I've got a quick question for Kevin, actually. So obviously you said that you were up there at Anfield on '89. Funny enough, so was my dad. But obviously, one thing that was depicted obviously really well was obviously an '89 movie was the finding that bar on the motorway on the way down. I think it was for Winners or Luckies or something off the top of my head. So what was it like from the for Winners? What was it like from obviously going on that night out? And then obviously going on the open top bus the following morning. What was that like? Because I mean, there's a funny story that my dad's got, which my dad was a kid was actually on the coach on the open top bus with you guys.
Jack, it was a gap day because the game was on a Friday night. And
so it was on, yeah.
And the parade was on the Sunday.
Well, still.
So obviously, we'd won it. We'd come back. We got the coach was had just got past Southgate train tube station, and the police on there was vans, bikes, cars. They locked they've closed the bus off. So you can imagine the bus was like a party. So lads are putting bottles of brandy under the table, the beers like going under. And George Graham was like wobbling at the front, and the police came on the bus. So we said, like, what's going on? They said, we can't let you through. So we said, why not? What's going on? They said, the streets are mayhem. The gooners are all over the street, which was great. So we get to Southgate. We get to the Winners Club in Southgate. Everybody off the bus. I'm sure you've seen some of the footage. The lads wobbling off the bus. So we get into the Winners Club. Everybody's steaming. We have a great day in there. And it was myself and Dave Rocastle. We were the only ones who went to Highbury. So it was me, Dave Rocastle, Tony Donnelly, the kit man, and Frank, the coach driver. We ended up going back to Highbury. So you can imagine, we'd won the title. We get back to Highbury. Dave Rocastle are putting all the skips in the dressing room. And there's a fella on the steps to Highbury, if you remember Highbury. All the steps
I do very well.
The main door. There's a fella there, collapsed, knocked out. So Rocky says to me, Rambo, should we wake him up? So I said, yeah, let's wake him up. So you can imagine, we wake this lad up. We're sitting beside him. So Rocky's saying, tell us about your night. And he started telling us about his night. He was in the Arsenal tavern.
That's quality.
When Arsenal won, he rang his missus, you're not going to see me all weekend and all that kind of thing. So we went in, we got a couple of beers, and we had a beer with him on the steps. And then we had a day's grace, obviously. Rocky had to leave his car there. We got a taxi back to Brixton. And then we got taxis back to Highbury the next morning. And we had the open top bus, and there was just goons everywhere. I mean, for me, that was the ultimate moment of my football life.
Because funny enough, so my dad was telling me a story when he was on the coach down from Anfield coming back to London. So he gets on the bus, and it's for the first 5 or 10 minutes, it's completely silent. And somebody just belts out the top of his voice, "We've just won the fucking league!" And the whole way back, everybody was just singing for hours and hours and hours down the M6 and the M1.
That's brilliant, honestly.
Kev,
It was amazing because nobody gave us a chance. Liverpool, I don't think Liverpool had lost 2-0 at home for something like 30-odd years.
Well, I mean,
to go there and do it was amazing.
The quality that they showed, obviously, in that era, absolutely dwarfs what City are showing now. I mean, if you think about it, Liverpool up there for obviously well over a decade at the very, very best.
Well,
and
the thing that they were good at was they were consistently good. They were consistently year in, year out. They were consistently good.
I think he's got his.
I've got to say, and I know, look, I've captained Everton, and I have loads of banter with the Reds and stuff like that. But obviously, there's still a lot of respect there. One thing I will say about, the old backroom staff, Ronnie Moran and Steve Roy Evans and those guys. We were in the dressing room after the game, and you can imagine it was pandemonium. There was a knock at the door. The door opened, and they came in with the champagne that was in Liverpool's dressing room. And they sat down, had a drink, and they said, look, any side that comes here and wins 2-0 deserve it. So, raised their glasses to the lads and said, all the best, we're coming for you next season. And that was it. We shut the door, and, it was respect.
Do you know what one of the best things was, Kevin? What about that night?
Kevin, can I share a very personal story with you about 89?
Yeah.
And I just want to say thank you to you and the rest of the players in the squad. The reason it was so special to me and my brother, it was just after Hillsborough, okay? And basically, the day of 89, when we played Liverpool, was the day of my dad's funeral.
Right.
And when you players came out onto the pitch holding them bouquets, right? For me and my brother, I was 19, he was 20. It felt like on that night that you guys was holding the flowers for my family.
Yeah.
So after we had that obviously that traumatic day, and Arsenal win. You guys won the league, which I never saw in my lifetime. It was so mixed emotion, but that night would live for me for the rest of my life. And whatever Arsenal achieve, whether it's Invincibles or whether they go, whether they win the Champions League, whatever, nothing for me in my Arsenal footballing fans' life would ever stop 8-9. So
Sonny,
I thank you.
No, Sonny, you know, it's stories like that that actually make it worthwhile for all the players. The players thrive off stuff like that. But the great thing about what you just said is everybody, I'm sure Ken and all the guys would say, they knew exactly where they were on that Friday night when Arsenal won the title. Yeah. You know exactly where you were. You know who you were with. And what a moment it was. And it's that's special, Sonny, especially at such a difficult time for you, mate. So, you know, I'm sure on behalf of all the Arsenal players and boys, you know, it's a pleasure.
You know what? For that 94 minutes, me and my brother were just normal kids again.
Lovely.
You know?
Yeah, that's nice.
I was
just going to say about that night, the one thing that I remember vividly and always watching Steve McMahon doing the 1 minute sign. And
1 minute corners. Pointing to the corners, 1 minute corners.
Yeah, and then Mickey Thomas going through the midfield and then scoring that goal was just unbelievable. Yeah, brilliant.
Listen, when he scored, I nearly got lifted because I'd lost my shit, man. I was running on the pitch. And the coppers grabbed me. But because we were sitting with all the Arsenal fans first, and then with about 5 minutes to go, we walked around the pitch. So we were right standing by the dugouts. So when Mickey Thomas went through and scored, I just lost it. As an Arsenal fan, I was running on. And they've grabbed me, like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. What would you like just before?
Sorry?
What would you like just before when Mickey Thomas went through the first time and he missed it?
Well, because he went for a miss, we were like, oh my God, you know, will we get another great chance like that? Because you never know. At Anfield, you hardly ever get these chances.
Exactly.
So to get it so late was perfect.
Mickey Thomas reminds me of AZ Maitland Knowles. You know how cool and laid back they are?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like the captain sleeping.
Well, listen, he's so cool, he's horizontal. Mickey, we went to the same school, me and Tomo.
Just a quick point for you guys, actually, just on that deeper note, quickly before we move on, with what Sonny said about the story about obviously with his dad's funeral and how he was able to feel like that. It's actually, I know it's not obviously a bit of a modern example, but the actual movie, the biopic of it, came out about 6 months after my grandma died, and to that day, my dad hadn't seen him properly smile or anything. And so when it came to the clip, obviously he was able to relive it. When it came to that clip of him walking off the open top bus with Mickey Thomas and Rocky, it was the first time since my grandma passed he genuinely had a proper smile on his face, and that shows what that moment meant to him, and in a sense his childhood, and how that flashback in a way that the movie was able to bring back for him. It was really touching for me as obviously as a son to see, because that's the only thing I've ever been able to see, which is from what my dad's history going to Arsenal around my age. And I've never been able to see anything in the flesh. And that's the first time I was able to see him and all his stories in a say come to life. And then to see him react in such a way when he hadn't been obviously happy or positive in quite a few months with his grandma, it was really quite a touching thing. And I do think that's one thing I want to pass on to you guys, obviously say thank you, because it shows what kind of a moment that being in that match squad and that squad and what that day did to so many people, obviously Arsenal fans across the world, and that at the end of the day, that ending of a league season will never be beaten, whether it's the Spurs goal against Ajax or Aguero against, I think it was QPR. These are all great endings, but nothing will ever top 89 simply for the context of what the day brought and the quality of the opposition, especially away from home.
Yeah, never. And you know what, Jack? It's such a powerful moment for all Gooners. All Gooners who remember it. Like I said, it's such a powerful moment. So, listen, again, on behalf from all the Gooners, the players, it's a pleasure to be able to share moments like that with you. And we want more of them, don't we? That's what we want. We want more of them.
Yeah, definitely.
Hey, before we hear from,
and we'll get them back.
Kenny's been pretty quiet now. We haven't heard from Kenny yet. Can you just give my brother a shout out?
Hello, Ender. You know, it's good. Thanks for your contributions, mate. See you later, mate. Hey, how comes Ender don't cut the matches?
That's my brother.
Is your brother Ender?
Yeah. Yeah.
He's not an EastEnder, is he? Listen, Ender, we wish you all the best. When are you going to come on the pod, mate? Be great to see you. Kev Campbell, where we go? Come on.
You don't even know how you see him at weddings. Kenny, you were with Paul. What's your memories of what's your fondest memories of Kevin and Arthur in those days?
It's 91 season. That was the season because that's when Kevin broke into the side. You know, like I said, he was exactly what we need. He's like, we'll go. I think what was happening was we had a great season, but Kevin just brought a bit of rawness and pace. It's like he was a big, strong striker. You know, he held the ball up. You know, like I said, he just had an open goal. It was like George is kind of basically said to Kevin, you know, just go out and play and just express yourself. And you got that impression from especially in the season when we won the league in '91 and '92 was a fantastic season as well. People seem to forget that the '92 season we finished fourth, but towards that end, from Christmas onwards, we were battering teams. Liverpool, Sheffield Wednesday 7-1, you know, which you know, like I said, you killed them. And all I can remember, right, is Kevin holding the ball up, turning, volleying, hitting the top corner. I thought, you know what? The season when the Premiership first started, I was so sure we were going to win that league. I remember Andy grubbed you, by the way, because I remember when Sky's first season, he said, "Who won the season?" He went, "Kevin Campbell." You know what I mean? And I think what that season is, if you don't mind me saying this, Kev, I think what it was is that with Ian inside, when Righty came over, I think what's happened is that you had to change your game, which in a game for me that I didn't think was natural for you. And I think what was happening now is that you're doing a lot of the hard work off the ball, like, you know, making a space for Righty, you know, taking out the different defenders. And then what was happening was Righty was getting all the the credit and scoring the goals. He's a phenomenal goal scorer, by the way.
Of course, yeah.
But I personally think that it killed your game. And that's what this problem, because I was very excited to see how you developed. And you had to express yourself. You had to go to other clubs for them to see your true ability. And I was frustrated on your behalf, especially towards the end. Because you know, like I said, I knew what you were doing. I knew you were doing the youth team. I knew you did the reserves. You were destroying the reserves. I just couldn't wait to see you play. And I'm just glad that, you know, that season in 1991 in the second season, and when you actually smashed it. I remember the North London derby as well, when we beat Spurs 2-0, you got one of the goals as well. I was there. That was like a very special moment. You know what I mean? It's one of those things, right? It's that nothing's going to take away from what you did at the club. You know what I mean? And you know, one of these things is that it's a shame it had to end and you had to go elsewhere to like I said, to get the sort of recognition that you deserve, that you should have got at Arsenal. But one thing is, right, is that one of the things I am pleased is that you managed to make me fall in love with Everton again. And the reason why is that I've always looked at Everton and looked at the way their fans are, and I thought, I worried about whether you'd be accepted there. I really did.
Yeah.
I really was worried about you. But for you to actually, to this extent, I get stopped in the street by Everton fans, and the only thing they talk about is Kevin Campbell. It's like, they absolutely love you. I mean, I know they have people like Dean, Graham Sharp, but trust me, the Everton fans I speak to, you're on that level. You're on that level. And one thing people don't realise is that you were, like I said, for players like Wayne Rooney and Fanny Jeffers, they looked at all, like I said, they're starting a career. A lot of that was down to you and the fact, the advice you gave them, and you like brought out a lot of young players at Everton. That's one of the things I admire you most for, is the fact that the second part of your career, you guided a lot of careers. Because like a lot of times before you came to Everton, they had players like Kevin, Branch, guys like Kenny. He didn't really, get over the line. But players like the Jeffersons and the Rooneys, I think that's what one thing people should underestimate, is that you brought them on, and having you at that club is one of the reasons why. Both at Arsenal, we love you because of what you won at Arsenal, but at Everton as well, you've made a difference to a lot of young players, and I think people should, remember that. Don't just remember the goals, but they remember the advice and what you've done for a lot of young footballers in this country, especially at Everton and at West Brom as well. Like I said, I've heard some good things about you at West Brom, and that you brought a lot of the advice you gave to those players, that's stood them in great stead for their career. So that's why I admire you the most. And anyway, my first meeting with you actually was in Manchester during the Cole Froch, George Groves fight.
Right.
You walked past, and I came up and I went up to him. Was there Kevin Campbell? I went and hugged you, right? And these mates were going up and going, "Who the hell does he think he is? How do you know?" And the one went, "How do you know Kevin Campbell?" Went, "He played for Arsenal. Of course I know him. But did you know he was we all us black guys know each other.
Exactly.
We know what I mean? Like, we always he probably thought you recognised me from somewhere. That's why he hugged me anyway. But that's my first story meeting. And then obviously last year Watford.
Kev, can I ask you a question?
Now, can I just say this? I want to go back to one thing Kenny said. I think it's really important for Arsenal fans to know this. In '91, when Ian Wright came to the club, I found myself out of the team. We just won the title. I got injured in pre-season, and he brought Ian Wright in. We were buzzing. Ian Wright's come to the club, and George Graham, if you remember rightly, Kenny, George Graham wouldn't play me and Ian Wright together for 6 months. He said me and Ian Wright are two similar players. But obviously, Alan Smith was England international, Wrighty was England international, and I was kind of on the cusp. So I was the young one. That's why I had to suffer. So they bought Wrighty for a record amount. They weren't going to drop Wrighty. So I then got on the training ground with Stuart Houston, and I had to modify my game then. So it's very observant of you to recognise that I had to change my game. I had to be a bit more. I had to be a bit more Alan Smith as opposed to Ian Wright. But obviously, that's what made the partnership work in the end.
But I thought
just a quick question, actually.
Yeah.
So just a quick point here. Go on. You can go first, Ken.
No, all I'm trying to say is that from a selfish point of view, I felt, in terms of Kevin Campbell could have played for England. The way you're playing in terms of the goal record, I think that what you did was very unselfish and it helped the club. But in terms of map Arsenal, in the end, it didn't help because of the way we were playing as well. You know what I mean? We were playing virtually without any midfielders.
Yeah.
And you had to be double that of what you were doing when you first came to the side.
Yeah.
That's what I felt
anyway.
Ken?
For me, as a fan who's been on the terraces, for me, what actually mattered most was Arsenal win.
Of course.
And if I had to sacrifice myself and I had to give somebody else the opportunity to score, I'll do it because Arsenal winning, I was happy.
Of course.
So just a quick point to make here then. Could you not learn in your situation to obviously what Iwobi's just gone through? Because if you look at him from his perspective, he's obviously titles aside, but he's come through the youth ranks. He was an Arsenal fan, born and bred. He's come through the academy. He's done the dream. Scored 50 goals. I'm sorry. Played his ears. Ignore that stat. And on the whole, as you said, I watched Alex coming through the ranks at Meadow Park. I watched him also. I know what he's capable of doing. And we've gone and signed our record player, obviously now being Nicolas Pepe, who, with the way we play, has made a Iwobi thing. Well, I'm not going to get game minutes. He's going to reluctantly say, well, look, for the sake of the team, I'm now going to make the move to Everton and try and establish myself there. But then at the same time, you see a lot of fans give Alex a lot of stick because of him being played, for example, out of position. Whereas we've seen what he's capable of when he plays as an international for Nigeria, obviously scoring the goal to send them to the World Cup, and obviously playing as he did at AFCON. Could you not show liken that situation? I mean, to your own, especially obviously being Everton, but in the sense that an academy boy, Arsenal fan, and it's, if you see what I mean, it very much mirrors what you've just said.
Jack, look, I could relate. I definitely can relate to what's gone on with Alex Iwobi. Of course I can. Alex Iwobi, the thing is, when you're a young player, you're coming through, you'd only get a small window of leeway. And then you've got to start delivering. That's the most important part of being at Arsenal Football Club, because I'm not being funny. It's the Arsenal Football Club. It's not just Arsenal.
No, I know.
Arsenal. And there's certain standards that come with Arsenal. So if
No,
you're a
just
young
on that.
player, you will get some time to adjust and acquaint yourself with the first team. But you have to keep improving. And I think Alex Iwobi has been improving. But I think the trajectory the club's on now, bringing in the likes of Pepe, etc., we're going to a whole new level.
Yeah.
No, I agree. But then also, if you look at the way the story that.
Jack, conscious of time because Kevin, we've only got another half an hour. Kevin, I think we need to move on.
No,
So
you're right, Sonny. Sonny, you're right. I'm not doing the hybrid squad now.
Oh, cool. Let's begin.
Sonny, can I just pick up?
Get your priorities right. You've got to stay in.
Well, I am, and I am.
Can I just pick up on what Jack and Kenny said as they're talking about Arsenal and Everton? Obviously, this is Sunny TV's Unfiltered, so the fans have tweeted in some questions, and we've got a fan here. It's quite an odd and tough question for you, Kev. Sorry if I pronounced this wrong. Mosca Ank has asked, why do you say Arsenal is a closer club to your heart when it suits and Everton when it doesn't?
When it suits.
Yeah.
No, what I said is Arsenal are like oxygen to me, because without oxygen you can't live. You can't live. Yeah.
Yeah.
But very rarely, as a football fan, remember I'm a player. Do you think you'd ever fall in love with another club? But I did. I fell in love with Everton. So, who says you can't love two clubs? I do. But I'm an Arsenal fan. I'm born and bred. So that's the answer.
Let's go through.
Don't worry.
Let's just go through some fans' questions because obviously this channel is everyone wants a piece of Kevin Campbell, and I'm delighted to say this won't be the last time Kevin Campbell's on this channel, right? So let's just fly through some questions for Kevin, which came on Twitter today. This is from Eddie's. Which striker who played for us since your departure, Kev, would you most like to have played alongside Arsenal, and why? So basically, which player since you left Arsenal after Arsenal was a striker you would have loved to play with? Bergkamp, Henry.
No, actually, can I add to that, Sonny? Because you've left a couple of bits out there.
Yeah,
go on.
It said minus Bergkamp or Henry, right?
Bergkamp on me. Right. It won't be Marian Shamak, would it?
No, well, you never
Lord
know. The striker I would have liked to play with is Nicholas Anelka.
Yeah.
Really?
Me and Anelka could have had a good partnership. Yeah.
Okay, we've got another question as well. This is from Ian AFC. Do you think the recent ruthless and more professional attitude regarding changes at the club will continue? If things weren't working out, or if we weren't working out, I believe now Josh will be pulling strings at the club. So basically, with the new regime and their outlook on things now, if Emery don't pull his weight this season and gets into the top four at least, where do you think Emery will be?
He's done. Yeah, look, I like Unai Emery. I think he's a good coach, but now he's got the pieces to the puzzle. He's gonna have to solve that puzzle, and he's got to solve it sharpish. Because if we're all honest, we threw it away at the end of last season with 8 games or whatever it was to go. We threw it away. That Champions League that would have ported us into another stratosphere, but we didn't do it. We've got the pieces now in place. He has to deliver now. He's going to be scrutinised massively now this season, especially coming up on Saturday against Liverpool at Anfield. We're going to find out a lot more about this squad and where we are. So
wait,
yeah.
So it's about that. It's on that topic. Just really quickly. You say that obviously that Emery's got the tools now, and that obviously we capitulated last season. But could you not also argue that the reason we capitulated was his mistake due to his own self-security? Because I mean, if you look at the video with Vinay and Raul towards the end of last season when they're talking about the Champions League, and when they mention Unai in the Europa League, they start laughing obviously about his history in the competition and whatnot. But the way it looked to me is that when we got the draw against Napoli, which was roughly end of March, that's to me when he prioritised the Europa League over the league. And if I have to be truthful, at that moment in time, I thought that the league not only was our better option, but we were also in pole position to go and cruise third, if not fourth. And I felt that his lack of self-belief in a say with the new league in comparison to really wanting that Champions League football through his old, obviously what he's good at and what he's done obviously at Sevilla, in a sense, when it just completely cost us and it went the way we did, because you don't make the same mistake of playing Guendouzi and El Neni together, which was proven obviously at Goodison Park, when you know it hasn't worked, then you've got Palace at home. Because if anything, if you look at the run of games we had there, when we said Wolves and Leicester away, you prioritise the home game, win the home game, and then if you're worried about the opposition, which you shouldn't be being an Arsenal manager, you then go and essentially play for even the draw, let alone set out the way we did in all 3 games, which if I have to be honest, I think it's the reason why we didn't qualify for the Champions League alone. I think it was that weak period, which was the be all and end all.
Jack, look, unfortunately, you can't prioritise, and the games change.
That's the point, but he did though.
But back in the day, you used to be able to keep the same team.
Yeah.
And now they're dealing with, loading of minutes and all that, loading on the body. But for me, it was one result that cost us, and it was one moment that cost us. And I don't want to. I'm not calling this out because I dislike the player or anything like that. But there was one moment against Brighton at home where Granit Xhaka pulled the guy down for the penalty. That was the difference, as far as I'm concerned. Because if we win that game 1-0, we qualify for the Champions League.
But Kevin, as a player, you know what it's obviously what it's like being there and the pressure, everything. Could you not?
Please. Okay. Kevin, right. This channel obviously is unfiltered, yeah?
Yeah.
All right. So, tell me a secret in your past at Arsenal, right, that you haven't told any other podcast. Give me some dirt.
Don't have to be allowed to say.
A secret.
Yeah, say that you haven't shared with anyone, because you boys got up to some mischief, didn't you? You must.
We got up to mischief. Of course we did. We got up to all sorts. But as players, the Tuesday Club was obviously quite famous because we used to socialise together quite a bit. And I don't know if you've ever heard this story. You remember when Tony Adams got sent to prison? We were on a Christmas night out, and we know Rodgers was going to court, so we'd organised it that we're going to meet him in the West End. So we're all out in the West End. We'd finished in the clubs, and we go down into Leicester Square, and they used to do all the newspapers, the early run. So we're going looking at newspapers, and there's loads of gooners down there saying that, have you heard the news? Have you heard the news? Obviously, we hadn't heard the news. Well, Tony's gone down. Tony's gone down. Tony's gone down. So we went down there. So we decided that we're going to have a drink for Tony, aren't we? So we end up going to the Hilton Park Lane. We end up going to the Hilton Park Lane and causing a bit of a stir in there. I'm not going to tell you when it happened in there. There was a little bit of a stir in there. That's probably one you haven't heard yet. So,
this is unfiltered. You need to spill the beans.
No, I'm not spilling no beans, but we caused a bit of a stir in there. You know what I mean?
I've got a question for you from Habson Guna.
Yeah.
Who was the defender Kevin used to love to play against? I asked Ian Wright a few months ago at a meet and greet, and he said it was Razor Ruddock because he was crap.
I actually like playing against Crystal Palace. Do you remember Eric Young and Andy Thorne?
Yes.
I used to love playing against them because they were physical, but I always scored against them. So I used to love playing, and we used to give Palace a whooping all the time. So I love playing.
Yeah. Yeah, remember the semi-final? Remember the semi-final in '93, isn't it? You remember it last? So we beat him 3-1 at Selhurst Park, and then like the second leg was like a non-event, wasn't it?
Yeah, non-event. Yeah.
I remember when they had Crystal Palace, their away kick was like Brazil. Bloody hell, didn't play like Brazil, did they?
That's right. Yeah, the yellow on the blue shorts. Yeah.
Yeah. Here's another question for you, Kevin, from a fan, John Hopkins Goon, John Boy. Would you say your goal against PSG in the semi-final to get Arsenal into the final was your biggest goal ever?
I think it was one of the most important goals for Arsenal, obviously to get past PSG. But I think my biggest goal for Arsenal was my first one against Nottingham Forest. Because you know that chant, you never beat Des Walker, you never beat Des Walker. They used to sing that one.
Yeah.
And Rocky used to say to Des Walker, Rambo's going to get you. And he used to say, what are you on about? And then obviously I came on the pitch and he said, there's Rambo. And Des thought, yeah, he can't move. And then the ball got played in. We had a race and I won the race. And it was in front of the North Bank as well. So for me, that was the biggest one.
Right. Another one then. Go on, son.
Right, I've got another question here. It's from Gaz, aerial threat. Would love to hear Kevin Campbell's memories of the 7-1 versus Sheffield Wednesday at Highbury in 92-93. For my money, it was the best performance for us. Came on and utterly changed the game, forced the issue. He was unplayable that day. Chris Woods in goals, didn't know what hit him.
Yeah. Well, it's funny, Chris Woods, when I was at Everton, Chris Woods was the goalkeeping coach. So I always used to give him a little reminder, do you know what I mean, about what had happened. But just answering the question and going back to what Kenny said earlier on, George Graham never put me and Ian Wright together. And that was the first time he'd actually really put me and Ian Wright together in a game. And I think it was with 20 minutes to go. And obviously it was 1-1 at the time. And that Sheffield Wednesday side was a good side. And I got on the pitch and I think it was my first touch. The ball got thrown into me, Ken. As you rightly said, the ball came into me and I just turned and I hit it and it went straight into the top corner.
Yeah, remember that goal.
And we went crazy. From there, we just went crazy. We won the game 7-1 and then we went on to beat Liverpool on 4-0. We wiped the floor with so many teams to the end of the season. And if we'd have got put together 4 games before that, I think it was, we'd have won the league. So, you know, it was an amazing time, amazing game. But that game, everybody just sparked because we're going through a bit of a difficult time. Anders Limpar woke up, Paul Merson woke up, Ian Wright woke up, and we went on to have a great season. 92 for 92, I think that videotape was. Could you remember that, Ken? 92
I remember it very well, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's what I know we didn't win anything that season, but that's when we played our best football.
Yeah.
I think that was the best football that Arsenal played, most exciting football we played under George Graham.
Yeah.
And yet we didn't win anything.
Yeah.
Yet the season afterwards we played midfielders, only scored 38 league goals, but we won the League Cup 2-1 against Sheffield and the FA Cup 2-1 against Sheffield Wednesday.
That's
a
right.
match in which George Graham actually left out Alan Smith and went with the pace of one Kevin Campbell and Ian Wright in both finals.
Yeah.
Memory serves me right.
Yeah. Definitely.
Kevin Russell's got a question. KC, if you were the Arsenal coach, what would be your team before the North London derby?
Well, we're gonna have to get over the Anfield game first.
No, she said team talk. She said team talk. Team talk.
Oh, sorry. What would be your team? Sorry.
What would be your team talk?
Yeah.
Listen, what I would say is, we know how much it means to the fans. Said, I don't even want to go into tactics too much. You all know how to play the game. Get out there and run all over them. Get stuck in and bury them. That would be my team talk.
Just quickly,
make sure you come in here and you've won.
Just quickly, Kev.
Bury them.
My personal question would be, and all, is that what was the build-up like and what was the atmosphere in the dressing room before you went out for the North London derby?
Well, all week in training, to be honest, it was high intensity. There was an edge to training. You know, people were putting tackles in that really they shouldn't put tackles in because everyone was getting edgy. And, you know, getting to the game, getting to game time in the dressing room. Tony Adams was like a man possessed at times. But one good thing about Tony was he would go, he'd know who to get in the face of, and he'd know who to put his arm around, and he'd know who to leave alone. I think that's the sign of a good captain. But you were left in no uncertain terms what your role was and what your responsibility was, and that you had to make sure you don't give an inch and you put your foot in and you make the fans proud. That was really important to him.
I wish we had that now, Kevin.
Well, we all wish that, don't we?
Yeah.
We've got another question from FC Abaro. He says, "What is your ideal midfield three? And is that ideal midfield three different than the midfield three that we play on Sunday against Liverpool Saturday?"
Yeah, I think we've got the flexibility now to be able to, depending who we play against, to be able to rotate. For me on Sunday, I think Torreira, Xhaka, and Caballos has to play. That's me. Against other teams, when we're playing them at the Emirates, I think you could go with one holder in Torreira, and you could play a Willock and Caballos, because we know teams ain't going to attack us as much. They're going to sit behind the ball. So we've got to put them under pressure with legs who are going to run in behind them as well. So, you know, I think it can be rotated in there. And obviously, Mesut Ozil's training again now. He looked half decent again in pre-season, but we've not seen him play in the league yet. So what type of Ozil we're going to get? We could do with Ozil really stepping up to the plate now as well.
Yeah.
Well, speaking about Ozil, what's your take on the situation where he got his carjacked? I mean, did anything like that happen to any of you guys or come close in them days?
No, I don't think anybody to try that one with us. I think there would have been quite a few problems, because we had the fight. We had that fight in us. And Kolasinac, I know it was crazy because we wouldn't want him to get hurt, but you know, Kolasinac was like, he took it as a liberty. Do you know what I mean? He took that as a liberty that you know, you're trying to jack me and my pal. So yeah. It's not nothing like that's ever happened to us, but I didn't like what I saw there. I thought that was real poor.
Just a quick point on that quickly about the car. About the carjacking.
You would end up taking their car, wouldn't you?
No. Funny enough, it's quite an interesting thing to say, actually, and I think it's something which has been completely glossed over by the media. The actual carjacking happened about 3 roads up from where I am right now. And one thing that I do know, and it's quite scary, is that the same moped, so it wasn't a targeted attack as people say. Obviously, now it's got to a gang taking offence to the Turkish bodyguards or whatever. The original incident, where I am, so it's I'm not going to disclose a location, but there's a lot of moped activity. I haven't.
You just stayed?
Well, no, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to say into detail like the name of it. Like,
right.
people, obviously I say I'm near it, but yeah. Yeah, so the actual attack itself definitely wasn't planned. It was the same guys, literally 15 minutes before they attacked Mesut and Sayad. My dad chased them out of our roads, and there's CCTV footage of it. Same guys, they wear the same clothes, they've got the same, everything is identical. And on the time, it's literally 20 minutes or so before the actual report incident happened. They'll literally just drive around, see who's wearing a nice watch, and we'll follow them home. But the one thing that does need to be mentioned is that obviously Mesut gets a lot of stick for it. Both of their misses were both in the car, number one. And number two, the person who people say that Ozil shouldn't have driven off and everything. But if I have to be completely honest with you, I don't think Kolasinac should have done what he's done. Because I think that A, it's provocative. And I think that B, yes, it looks to the naked eyes like, go on, son, watch him, he should be our captain, beating up people for our players. The truth of the matter is, he's a role model, and he should be running at people when they've got a knife or a hammer bar or whatever, because it's a bad...
The only thing with that, Jack, is unless you're in that situation, you don't know what you would do yourself. Yeah.
No, I understand that. But what I'm saying is that whilst I credit his bravery, everyone's praising him and having a Mesut for trying to drive off with the 2 women in the car. At the end of the day, should say I'd have necessarily done that? No, because there's also like it gives a bad kind of, I think, impression to obviously people looking up to them, because obviously with the rate of knife crime and everything there's in London at the moment, for all you know, an Arsenal fan tries to do the same thing when someone tries to after his phone, and then he's put to sleep.
Jack, what I will say is this: in situations like that, they call it fight or flight.
No, I know.
Yeah, but what you must understand is this: you don't know how you're going to react until it happens.
Yeah.
So once it comes on top of you, it's either, because if Kolasinac had got in the car and they'd driven off, nobody would say nothing. But there's always going to be one thing I've learned about football is everyone has an opinion.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
So whether Kolasinac confronts the guy with the blade or the bar or whatever it was, and Mesut Ozil gets out and goes and gets a weapon, or he tries to drive off, you can't do right for doing wrong.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I mean?
No, I know. But
Yeah,
the point is that I know. The point is that the deception. But anyways, I've got to shoot off quickly, as I've told you guys in advance. But thank you very much for having me. It's been a blast and a lot of fun. So enjoy
Lovely
the rest of
talking
your
to you, Jack.
Nice, perfect, Jack.
lovely talking to you.
talking to
Enjoy.
you, Jack.
But Jack, can I just say something? Just cut in
Yeah,
a
of course.
bit, right? I think I can only go from my experience, and like Sonny as well. Like, I'm from Islington, born and bred. I'm from like Andover Estate. Kev's from Brixton. Sonny, you're from South London. Tell where you're from.
From East London. East
You're in
London.
East London. Now, what's funny, right? I've had to learn the art way. No one could take a liberty with me. And if you look at like Kalasa's background, obviously he was born in Germany, but his parents are from war-torn Bosnia to the extent that if someone's pulling a knife out of him, they might as well be pulling out a toy gun. That's his parents are seeing war. So his first instinct, not saying what he's done wrong. His first instinct, he said, "No, I'm not having this. I've got nothing to be scared of. You know what? Life and death situation. My mum and dad, when they're in Bosnia, Herzegovina, have seen kids blown up and everything. So someone pulling a knife for me is a liberty. I'm not standing for it because my parents have put up for it. Yeah, he is a role model. Sadly, he's a role model, but as everyone's saying, you don't know what they think because one thing is that it's a liberty. So when someone's taking liberty, you the first thing that comes is anger. For someone like me, it'll be anger rather than fear.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, I think, oh, what have I just done?
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where, at the end of the day, you've worked your nuts off for something, and then someone's decided that that's a good idea, that they have a right to something you work. That will make me angry rather than scared.
I do see where you're coming from. But anyways,
Kev.
lads, it's been a pleasure. So I'll see you all soon.
Nice one, Jack.
Jack.
Nice one, Jack.
Thanks for coming.
Cheers, mate.
Kev, what's your opinion on the racial abuse that Tammy Abrams and Paul Pogba received recently? I mean, with Twitter, I think Twitter are going to clamp down on the footballers' accounts now of what could be said and what can't be said. But even if you go through even our comments on Twitter, you always get dickheads who's gonna troll you. So, what's your take on the whole thing?
Well, I think we know it's a society problem. That's the key. It's a society problem, but football can be used as an excuse to spit that bile that these people wanna chat. So it's easy. It's an easy way how to get it out there on social media because they know they're never going to be held accountable because they'll have fake accounts and all sorts where they can't be caught.
Yeah.
The moment all these social networks start getting smart and being able to hold people to account, you will see it start to subside. Because these people have to be held to account. Because you know what? A lot of these people do it undercover.
Yeah.
That's what I've found. A lot of these people do it undercover. And once you expose them and they start losing jobs or losing face, then it will start to stop.
Lee Judge has asked a question. If you were stuck on a desert island, what Arsenal player and what Everton player that you've played with would you be happy to share the island with? If you're stuck on a desert island, it probably belongs to Lee Judges anyway. But go on.
Is it an Arsenal or Everton player or Everton player?
One of each. You could say Francis Jeffers, then you'll only be one of them.
No, but actually, do you remember the goalkeeper, Paul Gerrard, who was at Everton?
Yeah.
He was a bit of a dab hand as a chef. I'm gonna need to eat, man. He's got to be. And at Arsenal, I think it would be Rocky. He would always keep me entertained, mate. Always with a laugh.
What was he like as a man, Kev?
He was Mr. Arsenal was a gentleman. He was just such a special person. He was so Mr. Arsenal. I can't tell you enough. Kenny will probably remember the days.
Yeah.
I think with Rocky is that it was like that team when George Graham first came to the side. Although one of the things is that not a lot of people give John Howe a lot of credit, because if you look at it, he brought Keown into the side, although we sold him to Everton. He brought Rocky into the side. He brought Hayes into the side. Adams got his debut under Terry Neal in 82, 83. So 83, 84 season. And then he was coming in the side. And what's happened is that Donnell, kind of sowed the seed, but it was George Graham.
Groomed, didn't he?
He groomed. But George Graham was the one who just gave him that chance. Remember, in 86, 87, I don't know if you remember it, Martin helped him out Huddersfield. But for some reason, the move didn't go through.
Martin Hayes was crap.
No, he weren't. In that season, 86, 87, he scored 24 goals, Sonny. No, Sonny.
Mate.
I want another of him.
Sonny, in 86, 87, he got 24 goals and 19 in the league and 5 goals. He was one of our top goal scorer. He brought on Rocky, Niall Quinn a chance. He gave Adams. He gave Adams a chance as well. Merson came in the side as well. Mickey Thomas, who was a right back and a left back, a top class midfielder.
Yeah.
So George was the one who recognised that. He didn't want to spend money. He said, "Right, let's give youths a chance." He turned them into one of the best sides in the league in Europe. So that's why I've always fell in love with them. That's when I first fell in love with Rocky. It's those massive legs. I remember one time in 86, 88 season when him and Stuart Pearce went for a tackle, and I heard an almighty crash.
Could you remember?
I said, right. And I said, someone's broken their leg here. Someone's broken their leg. I looked down, and they were just dusting themselves, and I shook hands, and I thought, the first one I did is I looked at the size of Stuart Pearce's legs, bloody Stuart Pearce's shepherd's bush.
Yeah.
Of Lewis, and I thought, right, two there, and I thought, they're my boys, mate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Up for the fight.
Up for it. And that's one of the things I did love about Rocky. Another thing I loved about Rocky as well is that he stayed very close to his South London roots. He's still getting I heard he couldn't drive anyway, but he was still getting his, when I was a kid, he seemed to be getting public transport. I said, "Dang on, you play for the best teams in the country. You're getting transport." And that's when you've tried to love him. And obviously, it's hard for you talking about because you're very close to him. But from a personal friend, I felt like a family member died when we heard the news and Ian Wright delivered it, and it still hurts now. But for me,
Ken, I'll tell you this now.
Yeah,
I'll be truthful, and this is something that a lot of people, well, the most don't. I've still not come to terms with Rocky passing, mate.
I haven't.
I'll be honest with you.
I still expect David Rocastle to walk out and come to the Emirates, and I'm getting emotional now because the reason I didn't know David, but that team in 86, 87, that's what made me thought. I loved Arsenal anyway, but that's when I thought we could come big. And for David Rocastle to be part of that.
Can you hear me?
He's not here no more. He's one of theirs, It still hurts now because it's so unfair. It's so unfair,
Do you think it'd be... Sorry, Sam.
We're going to do a show, Kevin. We're going to do a show with Lee Judges, and also I hope that you could take part, and hopefully some of Rocky's friends as well, because we want to do a whole program dedicated to Rocky. Because to be honest with you, we all loved him, and we still do. Yeah. I would love to do a program on Rocky because he wasn't just loved as a footballer; he was loved as a man. I was on the Arsenal soccer school back in the day with Vic Akers. I was really young. I was really young at the time.
Wait, didn't you try to say you finished your career?
Vic Akers finished my career.
Get out! He finished your career. No, he never, Sonny. Get out of here.
I don't know if you can remember, Kev, but there was a kid who played for Arsenal, Charlie Hartfield. Can you remember?
Yeah, I know Charlie well. Yeah, South London boy.
Charlie Hartfield was a year below me at school.
Yeah,
I was the best footballer in my school.
Yeah, but what does that mean?
They used to call me Son of Maradona.
Yeah, that's all right. But that don't translate to Arsenal, mate.
Vic Akers said to me, "Sorry, son, you're not good enough." I thought to myself, "Fuck off."
If Rocastle was still alive now, do you think there'd be something still to do with Arsenal in the backroom staff, or?
I'll be honest with you. I don't know because a lot's changed at the club.
Yeah.
I believe there should be a lot more of the old players involved at Arsenal to give those youngsters a chance. But it's nice to see the likes of, obviously, Steve Bold's still there, Freddie Lundberg's back there, you know. So there's I believe there's some others as well in the background. But I mean, from the past eras, they do it a bit like Ajax, where every age group gets to learn from a player from an era.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think that's really important. Teach them the fabric of the club. Teach them what it actually means to be an Arsenal player. Because you know what? It meant so much to us back in the past to play for the Arsenal. As kids, well, I started at 10 years old playing for Arsenal.
What was it like?
I left at 25. I played for Arsenal for 15 years. And every day was a dream. I swear to you, every day was a dream for me. And we had the reunion of the 1988 FA Youth Cup team last season.
I was there.
You were there, Ken. Do you remember, Ken? And
I remember it. Yeah, I was there.
The lads had tears in their eyes because still felt part of the Arsenal. And that just tells you what the club means. Well, you saw it, Ken, didn't you?
Yeah, I think what it was is that, as it is that you look at it and I think that's the thing. If you look at some like 14-year-old lads, we played boring football. John Howe worked his nuts off. You know, Terry Neal lost his job in '83.
Yeah,
the fan protest, and we had that situation between like 1978 and 1980 where we got to every cup final going. But we never made anything in the league, and then it just stopped. We just became a middle of the road line, and Spurs were playing the exciting football. They were getting players like Ardiles, Mickey Hazard, you know, like Mark Falco, you know, like
Ricky Villa,
Crooks, Ricky Villa, all these players. And I used to be envious of Tottenham because even though like they were beatable, they were attracting the great players, even though they weren't going to win the league. And it was like we were so much in their shadow, but they were gettable. Then George got us believing again.
Yeah.
And by giving players like yourself a chance, that's when, you know, fans like myself thought, you know what, this team's connected to me.
Yeah.
Because obviously being an Islington boy, you're connected because of the postcode. But when you see young players come through the thing, they become, you were one of our own because Rocky came home from the mates. We already had Paul Davis, but it wasn't enough. We wanted more. You know what I mean? And I think that's what George did. And that's, for me, that he doesn't get the recognition he deserves because of that situation. I think Arsenal Football Club got bargains and just give this man a trophy, a statue, for God's sake. The guy loves the club unconditionally. Yes, he went to Spurs because he had to work.
He fucked the Spurs game.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter, Sonny. Doesn't matter, Sonny.
Doesn't matter, Sonny.
No, Sonny. He had to work. Sonny. The fact of the matter, it's about contribution to the football. No, Sonny, listen. It's about contribution to the football club and what he's brought to the club. And Graham, right? George Graham, like I said, win trophies. He actually brought the fans close to the players, like Kevin, and give them their head. And that is more just as valuable as winning a trophy. I had on Arsenal Fan TV last year when one guy said, "Let me finish, Sonny. Let me finish, right? Yeah, let me finish. Right, one guy said that Arsene Wenger contributed towards the community. No, he didn't. He fell towards by bringing those young lads on, including Kevin, and giving us an identity with the club. He helped the community. And yet he's getting nothing. Come on, man. I think it's a disgrace that George Graham is not getting in the record. No, I'm not having that. That's a disgrace. Disgraceful. Arsene Wenger deserves the recognition. It deserves the recognition. But without George Graham, Arsene Wenger doesn't have that defence. And
Arsene Wenger deserves recognition for the first half of his managerial career at Arsenal, I think. The last half, what did he do really? Let's be honest.
Yeah, but he's going to get a statue because he deserves it. Because he's won the trophies and he's made us a global brand. But George deserves recognition as well.
I think they both deserve. I think they both deserve it. Yeah.
Just quickly,
you know what?
Sorry,
Kevin. So I'll come to you next, Terry. You know what, Kevin?
Yeah.
Everything George Graham done and Arsene Wenger's done, right? In my opinion, even though George Graham fucked off the Spurs, right, and I've just shown my distaste for it, Arsene Wenger fucking us for the last 10 years, he's worse.
Well, do you know, Sonny? And listen, I'll put it to the floor after. The way Raul, Vinay, Edu, and the guys are operating now, it shines the light on what's been going on the past 10 years.
Yeah.
Because they've been
what's
telling
not been
us
going on?
about metrics and we're gonna compete. We're moving to the Emirates to compete. And you could see we've had problems. Is that never been addressed? They've never, ever been addressed. And Arsene Wenger used to get away with it because, obviously, of the first half of his Arsenal career. But the second half, we've been left. That's why we're playing catch-up now, I believe.
Yeah.
What do you think, guys?
100%.
Go on, Ken.
No, all I'm trying to say is that Arsene Wenger, although I wanted him out and I protested having him replaced, he was a very well-meaning man who wanted the best for Arsenal football, but he wanted it his way. He wanted to play, like I said, Barcelona, which is very well-meaning because it was successful, with Barcelona and Spain. But I always say, I've said it to you many times, Kevin, I've said it to you, Greg, the worst thing that happened to Arsenal was Spain being successful between 2008 and 2012 and Barcelona's success, because what it did is that it encouraged Arsene, well-meaning that it was, to play that way. But what the trouble is that Barcelona played that style. They had players who had to work rate off the ball, which meant whenever you got the ball against Barcelona and Spain, you basically gave it back to them because they rushed it back and then they kept the ball for a long time. That's why they were successful. We only did the attacking bit, but the defensive part wasn't Arsene's forte. And yes, he's well-meaning. He was stubborn, and like I said, he treated his players like his children, which is very well-meaning. And I didn't think there was an environment where leaders who wanted to be confrontational were encouraged under Arsene. And I think that made us suffer on the pitch and invariably off the pitch. We got caught with our pants down because, Arsene, like I said, looked at what the Chelsea thing was doing. He was against it, which is he's right. But what Arsene never did, and that's hurting us now, is that off the pitch, if you're not as strong as Chelsea and Man City financially, then make sure you have the right people in place.
Yeah.
i.e. head of recruitment, you have like a good scouting system, you have someone who deal with you can compete with these people. Because you look at Chelsea and Man City, their success didn't happen by accident. They got the right people behind the scenes. Like remember, Man City had Gary Cook and Brian Mulwood. It was with Arsenal. They started that thing. They got Tarugisstein, and then Chelsea had what's that? The guy from Man United, Kenyon. Then they had Buck. Then they got Granavskaya. They got all these people behind the scenes where they can basically, if you get the right people behind the manager, with getting the right players, and he can just concentrate on coaching. Arsenal, as well as the coach, and it didn't work. And I think that's where we were hurt.
See, for me, I think he should have went a couple of seasons after we went that season unbeaten. Because for me, when we went that season unbeaten, we should have went above and beyond, like Man United did when they was winning 4, 5, 6 times on the trot. When we won that unbeaten league, we should have been the best team in the league for a few years. Well, the thing what I thought he done wrong was he stood still. Like Alex Ferguson went with Man United. Every time he won the league, he would go out in that season, buy some brand new fresh players to freshen up the squad and then push them even more. Wenger never used to do that.
Yeah, but in mitigation, sorry to cut you, sorry, but in mitigation, right, George wasn't exactly like, as much as I love George, and I went over a statue, George was no quiet boy either. He stood still as well. Yeah. After 91, he stood still. With Blackburn's money and Man United. And what was happening is that the football changed. Like, Man United were playing the inspirational game with wingers like Lee Sharp, Chelsea and Giggs. And what they're doing, they had a strong midfield. George didn't move at the times. Because you've always got the feeling that he thought, right, Ian Wright's going to win the games for me. We're going to win games 1-0. But George turned us in the cup side. So George is not exactly like he didn't move at the times as well. And when he left, as much as it was for like non-footballing reasons, it's quite a relief when he left because he was going stale.
Kenny, let me just say this, guys. You just imagine for a manager, when you are successful doing it a certain way, it's very difficult to change.
Yeah.
How you do things. And the great thing for Sir Alex Ferguson was he would adapt all the time.
Yeah.
He would. What did he? He built probably 3 or 4 sides at Manchester United.
Yeah.
Arsene Wenger probably built 2 great sides at Arsenal, and then he had a decent side who could do it in the cup but couldn't sustain it in the league.
Yeah.
And
Kev, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So to cut in. Do you know, as an ex-player, how much do you guys actually hear about what's going on now?
Now we don't. I don't really hear nothing unless I speak to the people I know at the club.
But one saying, can't you walk through the Emirates and bump into Granit Xhaka and say, what the fuck was that on Saturday?
No, I wouldn't. I couldn't get in the ground.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Wow. Ridiculous.
Yeah, I couldn't get in the ground. If I don't have a ticket, I couldn't get in the ground.
That's mad.
See, that's a shock.
I mean, you know, it's funny. You would think, right? There is what there is at Arsenal. There's a box, and you're a member of the 100 Club. So if you've made 100 appearances, league appearances, you get in. You can qualify. You qualify for the 100 Club, which is a box. But there's like 16 tickets, but it's very rare. A lot of players go. So unless you get invited to go, you can't just rock up and go.
Do you know what? I mean? As a fan, see, we wouldn't have known that. I would thought the next player could just walk in and do what he wants.
No way.
Oh,
You have to have a ticket.
I was gonna hide under your jacket and come in with you.
No, you need a tie, Sonny, and I don't think you're a tie-wearing person.
I've got a question for you. This has come from the Mr. Arsenal podcast. This is actually a YouTube channel. He's a good guy as well, so subscribe to him. And also Arsenal Fan Circle, if anyone's watching, haven't subscribed. Very, very good guys. Right. Would you if you had a role at Arsenal, what role would you like?
I'd like the role of ambassador to the fan base. Because I think I think it's ambassador to the fan base because I don't believe clubs interact with the fans enough. Yeah. I really think that's a spot where the clubs miss a big opportunity. Whether it's podcasts, whether it's Q&As, whether it's just get-togethers, whether it's going to America, going to games, mingling. It was great to see Edu walking across the Ken Friars Bridge, speaking to fans the other day. You don't really see that a lot.
You see it.
I wasn't going to tell you this. I wasn't going to tell you this, right, Kev? But this channel's actually got a reach, right? I'm going to speak to Vinay tomorrow. I'm going to get that for you.
Listen, whatever. I just think interacting with the fans is so important, man. Especially now that there's a bit of, they're starting to turn the page a little bit. It's not fully turned, but they're starting to communicate a little more, have those key guys to be able to speak to the fans and go on the podcast. And, you obviously you don't give up too much, but you speak to them and you let people feel empowered. I think it's really important.
What role does Ray Parlour have at the club now?
I've no idea. Honestly, I have no idea.
He's a liaison for the players, isn't he?
I don't know. I've no idea what role.
If I'm right, and that's what he's doing, if I'm Ray Parlour and I've won the league and I've been successful, right, and somebody told me at the club to go and book a flight for Aubameyang to go somewhere, I'd tell him, fuck off. Seriously.
No, I don't think that's what Ray Parlour does. No chance. No.
Yeah. Here's another question. got another question here from a fan. Esco675 Dom Rule. Who would you keep and sell out of the current squad?
Well, I think, Mustafi's got to go. I think his course has been run at the club.
Yeah.
I think El Neni, he's taken up a slot which probably Smith Rowe could move into and get some minutes. I think that's important. I think because we've got to look at the future. I think Mkhitaryan might be on thin ice because I don't think he's had a great season last season and he hasn't really started well this season. We know he's got quality in the past, but I don't think he's shown it at Arsenal. So that might be another one, which obviously will give Reece Nelson more minutes.
Yeah.
So or Saka, an opportunity. I think we've got to start thinking, right, let's get some of these youngsters in and get them up to speed because they're gonna potentially save the club a lot of money in the future.
I think what you said there, Kev, with them 3 players especially, they're not good enough to wear the shirt or the badge in my eyes.
Yeah, well, I don't think they've proved it. They've proved they're good enough. So you're right.
I mean, El Nini's been there a few years now, and he's not shown anything for me. Mustafa, I mean, why on earth we bought him in the first place? I have no clue, to be honest. And Mkhitaryan, I mean, did we get the best of the deal out of him and Sanchez looking at his situation at United? I don't know.
Kev's been asked a provocative question by Screen Boy. Would you move Ozil on? As someone's just asked a question. It's Screen Boy 8. Kevin, would you move Ozil on?
This is what I will say about Mesut Ozil. Obviously, they've kept him for a reason. Obviously, it's difficult to move him on. But I think now that Ceballos is there and showing he can perform, it shines a light on Ozil. Now, if Ozil gets an opportunity, home or away, he's going to have to perform.
Yeah.
Or else, if he doesn't perform, he's going to be out. I'm telling you, he's going to be gone.
Can you see him playing together, Kev?
Not really, no. I can't. Unless Ceballos plays deeper with a Torreira or a Xhaka. But again, Mesut Ozil's got to be able to do the business. Because one thing we've seen about Ceballos, he can put his foot in. He can put his foot in and graft on and off the ball. And that's what the question mark is against Ozil. Especially away from home.
But Kev, can I ask you one question, right? Don't they play? A lot of people have basically compared Darnie to Cavola.
Yeah.
And one of the things, right, is that Cavola was that brain of their side.
Yeah.
And one of the things is that I think they can play together, but by playing together, you have to, because like Cavola was basically like Tony Cruz for West Germany. Sorry, Germany, not West Germany. I'll get it wrong all the time. And what's happening, right, is that Joachim Löw used to play Mesut Ozil in about 3 positions, 4 actually. He played him just behind the front 2 when he had Tony Cruz, or he played him in a 3, like on the left-hand side or right-hand side, alongside the forward. And what it was is that Tony Cruz and Cavola, what they used to do is that they said to Mesut Ozil, right, I'm going to give you that ball. You're not to come in midfield and clog it up. You're going to do your best work in the front in the last third. I think the example of that with we've seen loads of examples of Germany, but with Arsenal, there's one game I went to at Watford about in 16, 17. Cavola played, and Mesut Ozil was in a 3 with Alexis Sanchez. Phil Ward, he was in, and Phil Alexis, that was him in a 3 with those 2. And what's happened, right, is that they all took turns, and they all one went left, one went right, one went in the middle. One would just come back into play. Well, Walcott did it, but it was Ozil Sanchez then, and it kind of worked because I suppose that's where he played well that game. Whether Unai, but the thing is that if you do that, you're going to have to leave out a Pepe. You've got to leave out a Aubameyang. Like I said, you can't play.
But
Kenny can't play.
Kenny, here's the question back for you then. You've mentioned when they're on the ball.
Yeah.
What happens when they're off the ball? When the opposition have the ball?
See, that's the thing. That is my biggest conundrum. I don't know if we've got enough time because I'm running out of battery, but that is one of the things. I spoke to Terry at length. We've argued like cat and dog over this, and me and Sonny argued like cat and dog. We're getting to Liverpool formation now. Now, one of the things you said is about off the ball. Now, my team for Liverpool does not include Lacazette and Aubameyang up front. It's just inconceivable having them there.
That is
You
just
see, I've set Terry off now, but the first thing about it's like off the ball. Now, if you look at, all right, Terry, I'll put this to you and I'll put this to the panel. Our best performance last season, universally, if you speak to any Arsenal fan, was Spurs home and away. Though Sonny, you were very controversial about what. Anyway, Sonny, I know this is your show, but let me have my say. Anyway, so basically, what I'm trying to say, hey, you haven't heard what I said first. What I'm trying to say, right, is that I think our best performances was Spurs home and away. Now, Spurs away, what we did in that game is that Unai Emery's gone with a three. He's gone with like Lacazette. Aubameyang's on the bench. He's gone with Mkhitaryan. He's gone with Iwobi. And what they did is they cut off the supply line from the fullbacks of Rose and Trippier. And then what they did as well is that the midfield didn't allow Eriksen to join the front. And whenever Eriksen got the ball, they sat on him to stop from hitting it big. So when Eriksen normally drops in and hits it long, and sometimes he'll join the forwards and take shots from 25 yards. We kind of nullified that. And against Liverpool, who plays similar to Spurs, you've got Alexander-Arnold and you've got Robertson. And then what's happened right in that? They haven't got the ball players of Spurs. They've got midfielders not very good. They haven't got the creativity. So my formation is, what I'm saying is that, why don't we play front three of Pepe, Reece Nelson and Lacazette?
No.
Play my midfield. And then what will happen is that we do two things. We nullify the right back from later on. And what we do is we get in Liverpool's faces and press them, but that way they can't get the supply line out of them. And then what we do is that on the turnover, like we did against Spurs, because on a turnover, we were hitting Spurs on the break at Wembley. Iwobi was making runs. Mkhitaryan on it, and that was allowing Lacazette to make runs. That's how we're going to beat Liverpool. That's how we beat Liverpool. Maybe do you agree, Kev?
Kevin, what I would say is this. There is no way I'm leaving out my star striker. No chance.
Exactly.
You leave out your other striker.
No. I think
so you play Lacazette and Aubameyang up front.
Aubameyang has to play left.
Do you know what? I was going to cut you.
He's not a natural there, though, is he? He's not a natural defender.
No, I know
That's
he's not,
argument.
Ken. But if we're going to go there to win the game, what we've got to do, we know Trent Arnold's going to bomb forward.
Thanks, Kevin. Thank you.
We've got to fight fire with a bit of fire here.
Exactly.
We've got to do the Arnold thing. If I go, Aubameyang's in.
Thank you. Can I just say one thing to Kenny Ken as well? Kenny, the away performance you're talking about against Spurs, yeah? Spurs just lost their last fucking 5 games and they were shitting themselves playing us. And what did we do? We shit ourselves even more.
Yeah, and what happened? We could have won that game, but we missed a penalty in the last minute.
We should have won.
You were there with me.
Now, look, my point of view. My point of view on this game, right? If you look at our last few games at Anfield, we've took a right roasting. 5-1, 4-0, 3-1. Last time we actually won at Anfield was 2012 when we won 2-0 with Podolski and Cazorla scored. So that you're talking like over 7 years ago that we've won at Anfield. So it's going to be a really hard game. Don't get me wrong, right? But if you look at them teams where we've lost, Wenger and Emery has set up not to lose. And when we set up not to lose, we play too defensively and we put more pressure on ourselves. And that's when we can. One thing, sorry to cut you in. In 17-18, Wenger picked a very open side. He played Alexis Sanchez. He played Theo Walcott. Sorry, Oxlade-Chamberlain. He played Mesut Ozil. And that was a very open side. And all the time, Liverpool was scoring PlayStation goals against us. They were on the turnover. When we were on the attack, they were going up the field and scoring. So even then, that's too open.
He played Chamberlain at wing back. And a week later, he joined the
They keep, Wenger especially, he kept playing all of our best players in the wrong positions in my eyes. totally in the wrong positions.
All right, but all I'm trying to say is that you're going to Anfield, the European champions. You've got to go there compact and have a plan. You're not playing the Emirates.
No. Why are we worried about? I mean, listen, Liverpool have been.
Because they're the European champions. They're the best team in the country.
Yeah,
By
talking
right,
about
they
that.
should have won the league. I'm like, Kevin don't want to hear that. 'Cause he's a blue nose.
Why are we always worried?
Hey, listen, Ken, this is what I would say, guys. This is what I would say. I love it. This is what I would say. Ken, in a part, you're right. You have to be rigid because what you don't want to do is on the turnover while you're attacking, get done. But what we have to do, we have to carry an attacking threat to Liverpool.
Exactly.
On the counter-attack, though. What's wrong with the counter-attack?
Yeah, on the counter-attack, but that's why Aubameyang's there. Aubameyang scores when he cuts in from the left-hand side.
All right,
like
but
on
one of
Saturday.
the criticisms I have of Pierre is an inability to play the lone striker role. He needs someone like Alexander around him to do the work right. But what you're doing is that by playing Pierre and Alexander together, you're taking out one of our security and you're leaving space. And what happens is that if you're playing at the Emirates, you could tell me to shut. Tell me to shut. But this is the European Championship play. This is European champions. I think my team can win 2-1 there. If you make sure you give enough Liverpool, take Liverpool by surprise. Liverpool are expecting us to play Aubameyang and us. They fully expect us to leave spaces in the midfield for them to exploit. They expect us to allow Henderson to get the ball, look up, and hit the wings, down the wings for Salah and Mane, for Robertson and Alexander. That's what they expect. Why don't we do what Liverpool don't want us to do? Liverpool want us to play that way. Why don't we
It's not the actual game, that's why.
Ken, this is what I mean. Let's not worry about the opposition. We are Arsenal.
Exactly, man. Exactly.
So thinking back, I think it's Kev. I think we spoke lots of. The trouble with me is that I love it. Although I played in midfield and I played like I had a bit of skill. I just hate bad defending. It just makes me. It spoils me day. I'm like the Jeff
Kenny. It boils down to that.
Boycott. If I see bad defending, it spoils my day.
Kenny, it boils down to that. Can Arsenal's back six hold up against Liverpool's attack? That's the bottom line. Because we believe we've got enough going forward where we could hurt them. But can the back 6, 7, including the goalkeeper, be solid enough to give the lads up front a chance?
But see, that's the thing, Sonny. That's the conundrum, isn't it? You play that team and you go well intentioned, but the game could be taken away from you in 20 minutes.
No.
Last year, the game got taken away from us.
Not this year. Not this year. We got better midfield this year. We'll control the midfield this year.
And better
I hope
defenders.
so.
Yeah,
I hope so.
Here's my team to play against the weekend, right? And a bit of a team talk for him. I would have Leno in goal, obviously. I tell him to stay on his line when the corners come in and try not to pass the bloody ball out because he couldn't do that last week, could he? I'd have Maitland, Knowles, Louise, Socrates, and Monreal in the back four, obviously for obvious reasons. We ain't really got anybody else apart from
Chambers,
yeah, but these two have played together last week, so that's why I'd have them. I'd have Torreira as our holding midfield player, and then I'd have Caballas and Willock just in front of him. The reason why I still have Willock in is because he's give the youngster a chance. In the first game against Newcastle, I thought he was our man of the match, and last game against Burnley, I thought he had a great first half. So if you're asking a young player to go out and to say, well, show me what you could do to keep you in this team, I think he's done that. And I think he deserves that. And then obviously have a Aubameyang on the left, Lacazette up through the middle with Pepe on the right.
Great. Kev, in the day, right, you was a good footballer, yeah? I'm better than you now, by the way. But in the day, you was a good footballer. Right? I'm betting you. I don't care. I'm betting Kevin Campbell.
Sonny, I love you. Sonny, I love your confidence.
We got to the park. Let's go Brixton. Let's go park. Right? Anyway, you know when George Graham used to tell you to sit and do the donkey work, yeah?
Yeah.
And you had ability. You wanted to score goals. How frustrating was that for you as a striker?
No, it's because it's the team ethic that counts most. Now, if I'm going to sacrifice myself for us to win, I'll do it all day long. Because there's going to be other days where he wants you to be the more aggressive one, you to be the more offensive player. But you have to take it in turns because it depends on the opposition. For instance, we're playing Liverpool. We know where Liverpool's strength is at the weekend. So do we nullify their strength, or do we play do we nullify them, or do we play more a rigid stance in order to give our front boys the opportunity? I'd rather a more rigid style to give our front boys the opportunity.
Yeah. Listen, when was the last time we had a great defence? We're not a great team of defenders, and we can't play that way. So why would we play defensively? I don't understand it.
It's
the best form of
defense. Confidence, though, isn't it? Everyone's in a good bit. Everyone's in a good mood. Confidence is very high. A bad result at Anfield destroys confidence. Like I said, it's like you've taken 5 steps forward. Why take 2 more back? We got 36 more games. We got 108 points to go for. I want us to win against Liverpool, and I think we can win. But the fact of the matter is that if we get a shellacking, the confidence goes down. It puts pressure on us before the Spurs game. We are playing the European champions.
It goes down even further if we're played defensively and we've not shown ourselves to be the Arsenal like we haven't done for the last few years.
What makes us think? If you play my team and my formation, we can win this 2-1. Easy. I'm picking a team to win. I'm picking a team to win. I'm not picking a team.
There's going to be goals, Ken. There's going to be goals.
How many weak point is right back? Apart from that, we're solid. We're all right.
Yeah. What's your prediction, Kev?
3-2 Arsenal.
Go on, my son.
And what's your team?
My team would be Leno, Maitland-Niles, Socrates, Louise, Monreal, Xhaka, Torreira sitting, Caballos just in front, Lacazette up top, Aubameyang, and Pepe. That's my team.
I disagree with you on Saka, but I'll let you have that one.
That's because Kevin's a mate of Lee's and Xhaka is a mate of Lee's as well. That's why I put Xhaka in the team.
And Xhaka is a cat. All right. What's your team, Sonny?
Guendouzi wouldn't even be on the coach to start with.
We want to know who your team is.
But my team, I don't know. I'm toying with. I'll go with a back 3 or back 4 because I think we need a bit. I think we need to be more solid. But let's go back 4. It picks yourself. I'll play Monreal instead of Kolasinac because he can't defend in a 4. My midfield, Xhaka's probably going to be fit, and then we're going to pick him. I would have went for personally. Right, you're going to go totally against it. I would have went for Torreira, Willock, Ceballos, right, and our famous and our lightning front 3. I would have went for
my team, Sonny. My team, you picked.
That was it.
Yeah.
There's a reason why you're on the channel and we're going to kick Kenny off. I was wondering what.
Kenny, leave Kenny alone. Kenny.
All right. Do you want to hear my team? My team's right. My team is
John Lukic. John Lukic. Lee Dixon.
No. My team is like Leno in goal, right back Maitland-Niles, left back Monreal, centre half David Luiz alongside Socrates. My midfield, I'm going to go for work rate. So in terms of work rate, I'm going to have to. I love. You know how much I love. I do love Torreira. I love Torreira, but one of the things is that I just feel that Mateo's better on the ball. So it's Mateo, Willock. So it's Mateo, Caballos, because for creativity, and Xhaka. And my front 3, Lacazette up top. I'm going to go for Pepe on the right, and I'm going to go for Reece Nelson. to give me the pace on the counter attack. Sorry about sorry about leaving the Aubameyang out, but it's only one game. It's only one game. So
You're saving him, Ken. You're saving him for the second half.
Saving him.
We got to put Ken.
I want workers. I want workers. I just basically want a situation where we nullify what Liverpool are doing in the second half. When the game opens up more, that's when I think, right, we can go and win this. And that's when I bring Oberon. And I'll say, right, Reece, thanks for your work. Thanks for what you've done. You worked your nuts off. You've kept it tight. Now, I said, don't think you haven't done, you've done a good job. You've done fantastic. You've done exactly what I've asked you to do.
Yeah.
But right now, I need Ober to go and win the game for me.
Yeah.
Kenny, bro, you're living in the past, right? Okay. You're a dinosaur. You should have left your finger. Them days are gone. Even Kevin Campbell said he'll start out about me and that.
Hey,
yeah,
Kenny,
it's opinion.
I like your strategy, Ken. Because you say to Reece Nelson, you give me an hour and you run Trent Arnold, tire him out, and then you bring Oberon to finish it. I like that strategy. That's a bit.
The only thing is,
that's good strategy.
The only thing is, we'll be 4-0 down, Kev.
Yeah, but
we'll be 4-0 down.
But the team, nah.
Yeah, nah. Exactly.
I know you don't. I do understand, but I think what his situation is that I look at Man City. You always look at who's playing the best football in the country. Man City. Do Man City play Jesus and Aguero? They don't, do they?
They don't need them, do they? They don't need them. Why
don't they play Aguero and Jesus? It's because Pep does not want to give spaces and sacrifice make field. He does his formation by playing Aubameyang and Lacazette. You compromise what Arsenal need to do, which is play 4-3-3. You can't play 4-3-3 with them in the side. That's why an Arsenal fan here, you have people go 4, and you have all these Christmas tree like formations because you're playing two out and out sides. So, hey guys, we might have to. Might have to leave a set left. God said, because I'm basically being a complete and utter pain in the arse with my formations. But yeah,
I've got a question.
It's beautiful.
Nice one, Ken.
All right, I love you a lot.
Nice one, Kenny.
See you soon. And I'll see you at Spurs, including you, Kevin.
Cheers.
Includes you, Ken.
Love you, man.
Take care. See you soon, Ken. Cheers.
Hey, by the way, has anyone? What's that? Tell?
No, Kevin, not you, Ken.
Oh, sorry, mate. I'm not that important. It's all right. See you later.
Mate.
See you, guys. See ya.
Love you, bro.
Yeah,
Thank God he's gone. Thank God he's gone.
Leave Ken alone.
Now, question for you, Kev. As we know in this world, not everyone likes each other. So there must have been someone in the squad that you didn't get along with, or
no, didn't. No, never. Oh, got on with everyone.
There was not one person that there was just a little bit of beef with, or just even with another club, or
no,
you got on with everyone. Good, mate.
Once we cross the white line, I'll kick me granny.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I'll kick me granny, but everybody recognised that it was just how we were. That was it. So no problems.
Don't you think that's because there was no foreigners in them days? Because obviously,
I don't think so. No, I don't think so. Remember, we played in Europe and we done all stuff as well. So no, there was no problems with that.
Someone asked me actually why you said that. Someone asked me a question the other day, or I might have heard it. I can't remember. Someone said, "Do you reckon our defence ain't as good as because of the foreigners that we've got in the back line? Whereas back in your day, we had just English players or British players back then, and they could all communicate, and they were just, what do you think about that, Kev?"
I think that might have some validity, but I just think I was around. I was part of the youth team that used to train against the back 4, back 5, back 6, or whatever you used to call it back in the time. But they used to train at it every day religiously. That's what they used to do. So it's not whether you're foreign or not, it's can you put the work in to get better? And
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of the foreigners or a lot of the coaches these days actually know how to get that back four improved to a point where it's like clockwork, to be able to hold on to a lead.
Yeah.
So, I think that's why Steve Bold got criticised sometimes, because a lot of people said, but he knows how to defend, and why is the defense ain't up to speed? Because maybe, the coaches, he didn't have that opportunity to coach them.
Yeah.
And that's what I think, because he knows how to do it.
Kevin, Karen's just asked a question. Can you ask Kevin what's the mentality like in for the team at Anfield '89?
Well, you got to remember, we travelled up the day of the game, and normally if you're going up to Liverpool, you go the night before. But George Graham decided, we're going to go up the day of the game, so we went up the day of the game. He said we're going to be like the SAS. He said we're going to go in there, we're going to get the job done, and we're going to get out. He said, I don't want you around too much of them scousers, he says. So he says, and if it's 0-0 at half time, he said, we've got them right where we want them. And that resonated with me. I thought, right, wow. Really, he said, we've got them right where we want them. We'll get a goal in the second half early, and then we'll get one just before the end, and we'll come out with a 2-0 win. That's what he said.
Do you think Alan Smith touched that ball? He did.
100%. 100%.
He did.
100%. Yeah.
I think he did. You can see it anyway.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, you can see it without a shadow of a doubt. What was playing against Johnny Barnes?
Well, Barnsley, we knew Barnsley pretty well anyway. So Barnsley's a top guy, absolutely top guy, and he was incredible player, incredible talent. We really tried to get him at Arsenal back then when he was at Watford. But I think George Graham wouldn't pay the money because he was a bit tight, George, at the time. But could you imagine Barnsley in our side at the time? Yeah, that would have been special. But he went to Liverpool and, he excelled, didn't he? He was a fantastic talent. Great man as well. We called him Digger. Digger was a great guy.
Well, Kev, what do you do yourself outside of football?
Well, at the minute, I've been in security now for 12 years, 13
what kind
years.
of security? I might give you a badge and come work for you.
Sorry?
I might give you a badge and come work for you.
Well, you're more than welcome, Sonny. You'll have to give up the Arsenal though. But so I do humanitarian stuff. I'm a dad to 2 boys. Obviously, one of my lads at Stoke, and the other lad's he had a trial today actually at Salford. So a bit of luck got in. Listen, I do what I can for people. I like to help people, but with all that, there's not enough hours in the day, mate. I'll be honest with you. So that's what I do with my time.
How's Tyrese getting on?
He's getting on okay. He's a bit frustrated at the minute, but that's part of football. He's only 19. He's made his Premier League debut at 18, and obviously there's a new regime in at Stoke, and he's vying for a chance, just like any youngster. He's 19 now. He wants a chance to play. He's a striker. He's a goal scorer, and he wants to prove he's better than me, which is good.
What was your mentality like? Tyrese at his age, and you when you was playing. Obviously, footballers nowadays have got a cushy life. So we're led to believe. How is Tyrese different to you then when you was at that age? Was you more grounded than him, or do you keep his feet on the floor? How's it work?
No, we're both it's the same like that, but it was just different. Remember, I was come from Brixton. I was probably a bit more raw than he was, and it was my only way out. So, there was no plan B. If you hear parents, you have to have a plan B. I burnt the bridge to plan B. It was plan A or nothing. I had to make it. So in that sense, I was probably a bit more ruthless than him. But football's changed. The game's changed. The people around football's changed. So, You know, he's a little bit more refined than I was at the time. I was a bit.
Which
Yeah,
era
that's
do you
why I was a
prefer?
Rottweiler, wasn't I? I was a Rottweiler because I was rough and ready.
Which era do you prefer? Would you prefer to be a player now? Forget about the money. Would you prefer to be a player then or player now?
Sonny, you keep the money in place now. I'm happy with what I done 80s, 90s, and 2000s.
Yeah.
So I've seen the good old days. I've seen the transition through Sky, and then I've obviously played in the 2000s where it's starting to ramp up. And I much prefer the time I played in. Much prefer that. Because we had a better connection with the fan base and everything. Much better.
What's the most drink you had before a game?
Drink
Yeah,
before a game.
before a game, because I've heard a lot of stories with Tony Adams and all that.
No, that was them, not us. No,
Or before podcast?
no. You're not 48 hours before a game. You're not allowed to license premises or drink. So, you know, you'll be in violation, mate. So,
Yeah.
But just to reiterate that one, when we played Manchester United, when we won the league, somebody, you know, the Lucozade bottles.
Yeah.
Somebody had done them up with like beers and champagne and stuff. And if you know, there was quite a few people going down in the first half for a little.
It had to be very parlour.
Drink at the time. So, but we'd won it already, so it was allowed then, I think.
Yeah.
Do you still see the old boys now? Do you still stay in contact with them?
It's funny because we do some punditry stuff here and there. That's when I see them. I don't really get an opportunity to see them in general life. But like when I go to the Emirates and I'm doing stuff, I'll see Smudger, I'll see Lee Dixon, I'll see Martin Keown, see Tony Adams down there. You know, see quite a few of the lads like that. I saw Wrighty when Arsenal played Everton at Goodison. Saw Wrighty over there. So you do bump into the guys now and again, but you know, it's not like it used to be. But you know, when you see each other, it's like you've never been apart because you just connect.
Where are you living now? You in London or you?
No, I've been in Manchester 20 years now.
Seriously?
Yeah, 20 years.
Why?
Well, when I played for Everton, I left, and when I played for Everton, I moved up here, and obviously Missy's had kid. Tyrese is 19; he's 20 in December, and my youngest lad's 16, and obviously they go to school and stuff like that. So it's just this. You know, it's just part of your life in the end, isn't it? You know, they're growing up, so you want to be around for them. They start embarking on their football careers, and you know, you do the dad thing where you're standing up in the cold, watching them play and train and all that. And you do all that, and you know, what's the point in going to London when they already got a life up here? Their lifestyle's better than mine, mate. That lot.
Is Mama Campbell in Manchester as well?
No, Mama Campbell's in London. She's in London. And the Colonel, Papa Campbell, is in London.
What do you think of the Emirates Stadium compared to Highbury?
I like the Emirates as aesthetically, looks the business, but you can't beat the old lady. You can't beat Highbury, no chance. Especially under the lights.
Yeah.
Highbury under the lights, the atmosphere. You know, walking on the Avenel Road, the horses and the smell of burgers and all that. It's a pretty unique feeling, wasn't it? You know, to grow up around there.
Do you ever see the comeback?
Sorry?
Do you ever think the Terraces will come back?
I hope it does. I really do. I think a lot of foreign people who watch the game miss out on the atmosphere that used to be around.
Yeah.
You see it in Dortmund. You see it at Celtic in the Champions League where they've got the standing section, and the atmosphere is unbelievable. The atmosphere at Highbury was incredible with the North Bank and Clock End.
Yeah.
I think it would make it even more of a spectacle to get safe standing back. Yeah. I really do.
I totally agree.
I think the stewards at the Emirates have killed it. I think the whole place. I mean, they said that the game against Burnley was rocking. I was at Upper Tier Clock End. I didn't hear nothing.
Well, I heard on Twitter that there were supposed to be like drummers and.
I didn't hear nothing.
Well, I didn't hear nothing like that in the stadium.
Yeah, I believe they're going to be doing. They're going to start ramping it up. I believe obviously I wasn't there at the weekend,
Yeah.
but a lot of people said they didn't hear it. But I believe that's in the planning. They're going to do something, which will be a good thing for the atmosphere. I
Yeah,
believe.
I definitely think it'd be a good thing and all, you know, because sometimes it's dead there, and you know
Yeah,
we
it's
need
not
to get
on.
the atmosphere back, like you said. We used to have at Highbury. You can't beat them days.
Especially with the next home game.
Oh God.
Oh, mate.
Let's get over the Liverpool game first, Kev. Especially
Yeah,
after,
I know, mate. I know.
especially after Penny's side, which was.
Kev, did you see my intro video for this channel when I went outside Tottenham's ground and filmed it?
Of course I did. Why do you reckon I want to help you?
Well, basically, I'm a Mark Mound.
Well, I bet you are. Listen, mate, as far as they're concerned, you're taking liberties, mate.
You know what? And I'll do it again. You know what? If the club shop was open, I would have bought one of their stupid shirts and burnt it outside. But the thing is, it was shut. It was shut.
Sunny TV unfiltered, man. You get it right.
But listen, what's your prediction? Where do you think we're going to finish this year anyway?
I think top 4. I think we're going to finish 3rd. I really do. I think once we get Nicolas Pepe up on speed, Tierney and Bellerin, I think we're gonna be more than all right. Honestly, I think we're gonna be more than all right. Caballos, he's gonna start to settle in it even more. I think we've got more than enough to finish in that top 3.
Listen, I think obviously if we play the team that I want to play on Saturday, I think we've got a good chance of turning Liverpool over. And if we can turn them over and then turn Tottenham over the weekend after, I've got a good feeling that we can push Liverpool for 2nd place. Because unfortunately, like I said earlier, Liverpool, as well as they've done last season, they've stood still. They haven't gone out and bought anyone to freshen up that team again. So a lot of teams are going to work out the way they played from last season. So
and they've had a longer season, haven't they? Champions League and internationals and all that. So it can come to catch up with you. We've just got to be. I think our issue is we have to make sure we're consistent.
Yeah.
If we're consistent, I believe we'll definitely get top 4. Definitely.
Yeah. You know me, right? I'm one extreme or the other. When we're winning, I think we'll fucking challenge for the league. if we lose, I'm suicidal. I'm worse than Claude.
I think the worst thing for someone like me and Sonny, I think we sort of think alike a little bit, and it sounds like you do and all, Kev. But I just don't know what side Henry's going to pick from one week to the next, and that's what's frustrating.
Yeah.
You know, to me, we've got the best players this season that we've had for a long time. Obviously, come October, when Tierney is back from injury and Bellerin, you know, I think the team really picks itself.
Yeah, but I think you're going to see a more settled side there.
Yeah, well, I hope so.
Once he's got the pieces, I really do.
Yeah, I really hope so. But that's the only thing. And if we don't get top 4, then for me, he's got to be sacked, I'm afraid.
Yeah. I agree. I think he's got a year with an option.
Yeah.
And the club have the option. I don't think they give him the option if he doesn't make it.
If he doesn't make it, who would you have?
Well, there's Allegri out there, isn't there? I think he's on a year holiday.
Yeah.
So I think he knows what he's doing, doesn't he? He would stiffen that back 4 and midfield up. And obviously with the attacking prowess that we've got, that's what we need. So, but I'd like to give Unai Emery a chance because I think finally he's got the pieces now. So let's see what he can do.
Kev, between me and you, right? No one's watching. It's just us here. No one's watching.
You liar.
Do you rate him?
Yeah, I do. I do rate him. But again, it's just like anything. If you haven't got the pieces to the puzzle, how can you finish the picture? You can't. So now he's got certain pieces to the puzzle. I think the Saliba signing was very good because down the road, I think he's going to be a 50, 60, 70 million pound defender. But we get him in a year's time after he's had some more minutes for St. Etienne. I think that's great. But he's still got the pieces now. Bringing David Luiz in, who's a leader, I think was a great bit of business. So that should stiffen the defense. But, you know, having Pepe, Aubameyang, and Lacazette, listen, if we don't whoop some teams this season, something's wrong.
Exactly.
Do you know
Kevin,
what I mean? With that front three.
Am I the only person in our fan base, right? I don't rate Guendouzi anyway. I rate him, but his time ain't now. He shouldn't be in the team, right? But apart from Guendouzi, am I the only person in our fan base who thinks Torreira hasn't solved our defensive issue, our CDM issues?
I don't think he's got CDM issues when he plays alone. I think there's CDM issues when he plays alongside Xhaka. Because I don't think they complement each other enough.
No.
Myself.
But you say that.
That's just me. But
you say that, right? But in our 22-game unbeaten run, they actually put together a good partnership, even though we didn't really play anyone.
Well, and you could do that. You could do that because it's Arsenal you're talking about. Arsenal could beat most teams. But whenever we came up against a lot of the better teams, for instance, Anfield away, City away, because that's always the test. At the Emirates, we're strong. And them two guys performed against Chelsea and that. But away from home, we tended to get penetrated too easy. And we couldn't cope. So that's the biggest test for us. It's not at the Emirates. It's away from the Emirates.
See,
Kev, if you could borrow a couple of quid off new judges, right? Which CDM would you buy to go into our midfield?
Kante.
Yeah, all day long.
We should have had him before. You know that. We should have had him. We should have had him from... He wanted to come to Arsenal from Leicester. We wouldn't pay the money.
That was the same with Gary Cahill at the time.
Yeah.
Exactly the same. He would have solved our defensive issues back then, but Wenger wouldn't pay the money.
But again, it's that old regime. Here we go again. The old regime, you know, about metrics and all this kind of thing. No, we know what the issues were, but we wouldn't solve the problems. Unfortunately.
I mean, when you look at going into next season, and we have a fully fit squad. I mean, when you look at the squad, like Leno in goal, Tierney left back, then you've got a choice of obviously Saliba, who's going to be the new centre back coming in, with maybe Rob Holding and Bella in right back. And then I would, at the moment, say Torreira in the midfield with Ceballos and maybe Ozil or Willock. And then you've got Aubameyang, Lacazette and Pepe. I mean, you look at that team, that is fantastic.
Well, I'll tell you this. If we qualify for the Champions League next season, there will be another top-class centre-half coming in and another top-class centre midfielder coming in.
The way Josh is talking now, he said they might do it in January.
Well, they might, but I'm talking about Champions League because, you know, in the Champions League, you have to have that strong squad, real strong squad. And we need another centre-half if we're going to do that in the Champions League and another centre midfield player.
I think we'll wrap it up now. Kevin, you've got an open invitation. You've got an open invitation, my bro, to come on whenever you want.
Nice one, Sonny. Listen, anytime I can come on, I'll let you know.
Well, that little box on the right-hand side, that where you got your head in, I'm leaving it empty for you.
Can I just say on a personal level, I'm a privilege to even be sitting next to you on the camera.
Oh, thanks, Terry.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sonny, get out of it. No, it's a pleasure, Tel. It's a pleasure. It really is. Hey, it's great to come on. Great to speak of all things Arsenal with you guys. Love what you're doing with it, Sonny and Terry and all the guys. And listen, if you could have me again and I'm free, I'd love to come on again, mate, and speak with you. Hopefully after the next 2 games and it's some positivity.
You know what? The Arsenal fan base don't always agree with me, right? But I think they're all going to agree on one single point: is Kevin Campbell is there for the Arsenal fans. So for that, we love you.
Yeah.
Thank you, mate. I love you. All Gooners up. Remember, you're my oxygen, Gooners. You're like oxygen to me. So all the best, guys.
Thanks,
and Ender. See you later, Ender.
I love it. Your family. They're your family.
Take care, guys.
Thanks, Kevin.
You're welcome,
thanks,
guys.
Thanks everyone for watching and taking part. I hope you subscribe and share and like and do all the stuff that these YouTubers say, please. Thank you. Take care.
Cheers. See you.
Well, that was